Happy March Caprice! Hee hee! Hoo hoo! Yeah, of course. So, for those of you that have been watching all week, you might have noticed our opening ceremony had a little story with MC uh, and a mysterious character involving our proofs.
They couldn't hear me.
Oh, cool.
Oh, goodness gracious. I forgot I had myself muted. Hi, let's start over. Hello.
Okay.
We have a couple of announcements to go over before the concert begins. Concert will begin in just a few moments. But in the meantime, Nicole, take it away.
Yeah, alright, so speed run. So, for those of you that watched the opening ceremony earlier this week, you may have noticed a little bit of a story with MC that was a to be continued. And we are very proud to announce that over the course of the week, and maybe a little bit in the next week, then you will be able to experience this story for yourself with our first ever March Caprice visual novel!
Ooh, ah.
So, there will be episodes to this updated. The link on the website takes you straight to an itch.io page that has the game playable in a browser window. Right now, just the first episode is out. Again, we will be updating it over the course of the weekend, so I hope you all enjoy it. A lot of work went into this from everybody in March Caprice, so I want to thank it, specifically, everybody, but I can't do that right now, so we'll wait for the credits. But, yeah, check that out, after the concert, of course, and, Chain.
Yeah, the other thing that we added, this is all, last-minute DLC, so we're hoping that you're enjoying our updates as we're going along. If you go to our press kit, which I am going to be looking for, where did we put the press? Oh, yeah, if you go to our About page, and you go down to March Caprice 5 and go to our press kit, it leads you to our Google Drive, which you'll notice we added a little file called Digital Swag. That's something we've had in the past. It includes mobile phone backgrounds, based on March Caprice 5, PC backgrounds, a fake little, ticket, oh yeah, I went to March Caprice 5, I have my ticket, and a couple other surprises in there, so be sure to check that out. And besides that, the concert will be starting shortly, so let's look forward to the concert. Thank you for your time, and enjoy the show!
Happy March Caprice!
Happy March Caprice!
March Caprice presents the 5th annual presentation. March Caprice presents the 5th annual presentation of an all-time gathering of musicians from across the world, the Concert Soiree. The most incredible musical fantasy ever is back. This evening, you're invited to experience the breathtaking beauty, the wonderful adventure, the very special magic. And the electrifying power. Of one of the most spectacular entertainment events in March.
You are going to Brazil.
It's a concert you will never forget.
This calls for a celebration.
It's the 5th annual Concert Soiree for March Caprice, a spectacular sonic showcase. March 29th and 30th. You'll only have till midnight.
Chapter 7, Concert Soirée. And finally, after departing the amphitheater, the group made their way to the castle's ballroom, where Lord Russell, Duke of Groovington, would be hosting the long-awaited concert soirée, with musical acts from all over the realm said to appear. As they listened to one enchanting track after another, they found themselves overcome with joy at each other's company.
Good evening, my dears. It is my court-mandated pleasure to welcome you on behalf of March Caprice to this year's annual concert soiree. Tonight's program was created from the combined efforts of artists and musicians aplenty. Hopefully, there's a plenty of talent to go around. What you're going to see and hear are the designs, pictures, and stories that the music of Kingdom Hearts has inspired in the minds and imaginations of a very artistically inclined group of artists. And of course, no musical showing like this would be complete without mentioning the primary composer of the series, whose work has inspired all the tracks we will be premiering. Yoko Shimomura's influence on the legacy of video game music is, however, but a small part of what we will be celebrating over the next 2 evenings. Culminating in just under 3 hours of arrangements, we have designed our concert program in a way that will highlight the landscape of the Kingdom Hearts community. A collective so vibrant in their endless spirit and relentless illiteracy, and the reason why we are all here tonight. As with last year, we've been given the opportunity to license and distribute many of the tracks premiering this evening on our second March Caprice charity album titled Double Time. Now, you should know that every stream or purchase goes towards decolonizing the music room, a charity that supports the diversity and inclusion in music education. Should you come upon any of these labeled tracks, please know that they are available for your listening pleasure on any platform you wish. Or any you don't. For the last 23 years, Kingdom Hearts has been inspiring artists of all ages, which is why tonight's masquerade will highlight all levels. From professionals telling their woven stories to beginners just starting on their musical journeys. So with hearts full of joy and wonder and maybe a little bit of cash if you could, we invite you to the grand concert soiree of March Caprice, where the magic of music comes alive.
Hello, and welcome to the concert soiree. Now, there are 3 kinds of music we will be presenting during this evening's presentation. First is the kind that tells a definite story. Next is the kind that, while it does not have a specific purpose, does paint a series of more or less definitive pictures. And then there's music of the third kind, music that exists simply for its own sake. The pieces that will begin this evening will be music of this first kind. Even the titles should ring familiar. We will begin with 3 interpretations of various Utada Hikaru tracks, that will bring us into the world of Kingdom Hearts.
You're giving me too many things lately. You're all I need. You smiled at me and said, "Don't get me wrong, I love you, but does that mean I have to meet your father? When we are older, you'll understand what I meant when I said no. I don't think life is quite that simple. When you walk away, you don't hear me say, please. Oh, baby, don't go simple and clean as the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go. The daily things like this a lot is
trust in fate, but now it's hard to deny. I can't afford to get my hopes up too high. Is that why? I just don't see why you've chosen me. Are you satisfied with me at your side? I don't need flowers, don't need witnesses or their promises. Let's dance and let our hearts beat together as our lips meet. And baby, as long as you'll allow, you'll have my everlasting vow. Our rings will match the sunrise, a note that they will symbolize. And maybe the perfect time is now to make an everlasting vow. I can't hold back tears, but I'm not sure what they're for. Pains from the past wash away as light pours from those doors. I'm long past seeking what I couldn't see, 'cause you're next to me, and it's clear to me it's destined. Let's dance and let our hearts beat together as our lips meet. And baby, as long as you'll allow, you'll have my everlasting vow. Our rings will match the sunrise, an oath that they can symbolize. And maybe the perfect time is now to make an everlasting vow. I'm done with making up excuses, 'cause after all this time it's useless. I try to lie and close my eyes, but can't deny what the truth is. I don't need pretty flowers, witnesses, or veils of lace. Just let me fall asleep here, tucked deep into your embrace. I don't need pretty flowers, witnesses, or veils of lace. Just you, just your light. So much time spent building higher walls around me. You scaled them all, I let them fall, and let your love surround me. So much time spent building higher walls around me. Hold me tight. Let's dance and let our hearts beat together as our lips meet. And baby, as long as you'll allow, you'll have my everlasting vow. Our rings will match the sunrise, an oath that they can symbolize. And maybe the perfect time is now to make an everlasting vow. Kiss me once, kiss me twice, kiss me 3 times, just to know that this is true. Kiss me once, kiss me twice, kiss me 3 times. I'll give you me, just give me you. Kiss me once, kiss me twice, kiss me 3 times, just to know that this is true. Kiss me once, kiss me twice, kiss me 3 times. I'll give you me, just give me you.
The first track we heard this evening was Cartridge's Simple and Clean, featuring the 6-station trio. Then we heard Sanctuary by David Guthrie Music and Isabel Amponin. And then finally we heard Hologram's original lyrics over 8-bit Waves' Don't Think Twice instrumental cover, an interpretation dubbed Everlasting Vow. Now these were kinds of music that told a definitive story through their lyrics. What you will hear next are 3 gummy ship tracks designed to take you from this more definitive form of lyrical music into perhaps a more nebulous launch pad. And you might find yourself surprised by the different styles these artists have explored, blasting us off through the ocean between in their own unique ways.
Blasting off from out the gummy garage, smacking phonies down like it was an arena mirage. Cause you living on reality, a world not real. If you thought for just a second that the deal was sealed. Like, I've been sitting on the sorcerer's throne, I've been pulling all-nighters like the sword in the stone. I've been clearing my fights like I'm Patty Capone, spitting sick shit like it's Kingdom Corone, yeah. I'm doing this shit for fun. The score is like a Cody Keyblade, you and me 0-1. If it was Eurus as a pup, I'm thinking there's 0-1. Your time is over, call me RNG, I'm killing your run. I call myself the master of masters, but y'all are novices. Check out the Patreon if you wanted the proof of promises. I'm thinking that it's obvious the people are tired of drinking swill. Time to pop a panacea for a lingering ill. Shit meister, I hardly know her. Shit meister, I hardly know her. Shit meister, I hardly know her. If you ever took me serious, then you might be delirious. All your titans are jocks, who would have guessed though? Little demons better put that piccolo to resto. Then collect my rev quick, platinum presto. They hate it, but the comments saying Pat's the best, so do we let him keep going? Yeah, I guess so. Jolly Roger cruising like I'm Ernesto. De La, all soul, no heart, yes bro. Evil like another one, full armor, let's go. Let's go. Writing how to gummy for dummies. Chilling with Zeus like there's nobody above me. If you caught someone doing it the best, you might love me. Tries I can't spell the way that I be putting it bluntly. You're not funny, my buddy, it's humoresque at best. I'm on my Zemnis feeling nothing, say that shit with my chest. Under a bit of duress, if I address a pest as if it's all love, that'd be some Wonderland chesh. Shit meister, I hardly know her. Shit meister, I hardly know her. Shit meister, I hardly know her. If you ever took me serious, then you might be delirious. Pause and choose, 3 down right. Automatic fire, deja vu, it's like how I write. Automatic fire, killing Judes like death, guys. For any who inquire, praises getting sung like an Atlantic choir. Leaving without dropping the light, well that be lame of ya. Sora Roxas, Benevenitas, well that be same of ya. Bunch of money copy popcasts, so shame on your clout chasers. Fly to Olympus and get the training ya. If colors don't learn how to behave, I hope Square serves you right and keeps your shit all delayed. I hope the beta goes omega and it never gets made. I hope you cry like Shion's dying while the Murray gets paid. Cause frankly, I don't find this all to be in good faith. Some of your conscience is mini, not in a Jiminy way. If it's for clicking your checks or manufactured elation, fundamental disagree on what it means for creation. Shit meister, I hardly know her. Shit meister, I hardly know her. Shit meister, I hardly know her. If you ever took me serious, then wait, chorus. Flow as cold as Arendelle, you don't seem to be faring well. Motherfuckers steaming and never fair, but what the hell, they got no rhythm. Mix or algo or otherwise, I change up the climate, my rain fell on the other guys. I'm going hyperdrive, it's just an experiment. I got more Ultima than fuck around to make a spare of it. Blaring shit, very small beat and rolling my gummy windows down. Drop the shit and just keep dreaming, you fucking clown. You're very lucky now that I don't got my duck around, is that etc. So you better get beneath the ground. And if you stuck around since ranking muck in Pilot Town, then I'ma buy you all around. Mega Legends, fuck a crown.
Of course, there's no exploration without conflict. The ideas of Ansem and Xemnas, 2 sides of the same coin, and 2 villains who chase their ambitions down a dark path. Up next, we're going to hear 2 confrontations to the tunes of the Plasma's Forza del Male and Lily Kirkpatrick's Darkness of the Unknown. I don't play drums, by the way. I don't know why I'm sitting here. Woo! Papa Squat. Now, in some cases, these conflicts are not necessarily against villains. Joanne Moo's interpretation of Vector to the Heavens paints the image of a struggle against a fate you didn't choose. A vector to the heavens, a return to the sky, to Sora, is expressed through a duet of harps, weaved together like threaded quilt. come to our third kind of music. Music that exists for its own sake.
Leading us into an explosive climax before our brief intermission, we'll be hearing Infinite Rivals with the finale, an epic culmination of all the darkness this series has shown us.
We will now begin a brief 15-minute intermission. Please stay tuned as the part 2 of tonight's concert will begin immediately after. We'll be right back. What, do you gotta pee or something?
Hey, Donald, need some help?
I just can't do it. I'll never be this boss.
Why don't you use khguides.com? It has a really good walkthrough for this game, and easy to follow boss tutorials too.
Hold on. khguides.com. Page 1. Monstro. There it is. Only vulnerable damage on the front of its face and body. Oh, now I've done it. I did it. Thanks for the website. Good one, you son of a...
khguides.com, your #1 companion for Kingdom Hearts, with more content coming soon.
How soon?
VGM Together is an organization dedicated to helping the VGM community.
When we weren't able to meet in person due to the pandemic, VGM Together created an online convention so we could still be together.
We're always looking for new ways to support the community, which is why we started the VGMT monthly newsletter.
An easy way for VGM content creators to share their VGM news with the community.
And today, we're announcing the new VGMT directory,
which lets VGM artists find one another to work together on collaborative projects.
Thanks for letting us be a part of the incredible VGM community.
And we're looking forward to finding new ways to bring the VGM community together.
good citizens, when was the last time you visited the Kingdom Hearts Wiki? That's right, the community-run Kingdom Hearts Encyclopedia is here to fill your needs. The Wiki has a little something for everyone. Looking for a full list of anime drop tables? How about a concise explanation on the rules of time travel? Whatever it is, the KH Wiki has you covered. Take a stroll through an expansive gallery of character artwork, or treat yourself to visual combo trees of Day's weaponry. Gee whiz, now that's a lot of value. But of course, the Wiki doesn't write itself. With nearly 7,000 articles, there's always work to be done, so come try your hand at editing. You never know what you might learn. This has been 81043, signing off on behalf of all the KH Wiki staff. Experience tomorrow, today.
Are you finally getting up off the couch and making your debut Kingdom Hearts video essay? Or maybe an AMV or Xemnas thirst trap? Having trouble finding the perfect clip to accentuate your point? Tired of scrubbing through hours-long cutscene compilations on YouTube? Introducing the Wayfinder Project! With just 5 easy monthly payments of It's entirely free, you can type any word into the Wayfinder search bar and get a list of every instance of that word appearing across the entire Kingdom Hearts series. Looking for every single appearance of King Triton for reasons we won't tell? Arguing with your friend about whether or not the word lasagna is ever spoken in Kingdom Hearts 2? Just type it in and of course it isn't, Dylan. Why the fuck would they ever talk about lasagna in this game? I don't know why we're friends. Once again, that's WayfinderProjectKH.com. Can't find your way? We got you covered.
Are you sick of having your bookmarks stuffed with Kingdom Hearts resources? Well, I've done the thing that no one has thought to do and compiled them into one big page. Introducing Resource. Now you can utilize all these amazing Kingdom Hearts resources with ease. Everything from official sites, to image dumps, to wikis, to fonts. This page has it all. The only things we want to avoid are illegal sites, for obvious reasons, links to personal storage sites such as Google Drive or MediaFire, as these type of sites tend to be taken down quickly and without notice. Also don't suggest fandom sites because fandom sucks. Instead of bookmarking these individual pages, just bookmark this one hub for all your Kingdom Hearts needs. Forgot to bookmark it and you can't remember how to get here? Go to cagedatabase.com and click on the hamburger menu on the left and go to the community section and click on resources. Or go to cagedatabase.com and type cagedatabase:resources. Resource, a part of KH Database.
kingdom of thieves. And people who say things they don't really mean, really mean. You're only everything I ever dreamed of, ever dreamed of. I could say no. I want you for a lifetime. So if you're gonna think twice, baby, I don't wanna know, baby. I don't wanna know. Everything is just right. But if you're gonna think twice, baby, I don't wanna know, baby.
If you say missing link is missing. Yeah, that's good, right? It's missing. You can't find it. It's missing. Oh! Hi! Didn't see you there. I'm Mike. And I'm Jason. And we are the Super Spaghetti Bros, the hosts of the longest running Kingdom Hearts podcast in the world, the Ansem Report Podcast. We're not sitting down. We're happy to take a break from all of our planning to announce that the Million Dreams Awards are returning to Reconnect, and we are returning as the Masters of Ceremonies. That's right, regular Pat wasn't available.
The Million Dreams Awards celebrates all the online content creators who have touched our hearts with their unique, extraordinary, and creative Kingdom Hearts content.
Nominations for this year's Million Dreams Awards open up March 31st, and the nominations end on April 30th. So if there's a creator out there who's had a positive impact on you through Kingdom Hearts, be sure to consider them during the nomination period.
But this year, the MDA Awards will be even bigger and better than last year. This year, we have a red carpet experience prior to the award show.
Ooh la la! So make sure you dress your best for the MDAs.
So we'll see you at Reconnect.
May your heart be your guiding key.
and welcome back to this year's concert soiree from Caprice. It's been over 20 years since Tetsuya Nomura approached Yoko Shimomura to create a game with the concept of you never know who you'll run into next. And Caprice has taken this desire and expanded it to collect as many friends as possible from all across the globe. You know, when Keynote first conceptualized the concert soiree, he intended for it to be a perpetual work in progress. In a sense that you never know who you'll hear next. Every year, it has continued to evolve until today. Now, I'm being told that I need to turn it over to David, who, so I hear, plays a little bit of piano. Well, big deal, bucko. You think it's hard? The battery has died.
Pretty good, dude. Now, when you hear a track like Simple and Clean, a couple different words might spring to mind. You might think neat, you might think familiar, or a track that marks beginnings. But when our next group decided to arrange this track, they had something different in mind.
Introducing Cloud Save!
If you're ready to groove, make some noise! All right. How y'all feeling? I don't know about y'all, I'm a little nervous. Y'all recognize that bass line? Where are my Kingdom Hearts fans at? All right. Like we said before, we're from New Orleans. We drove a long way to get here. We hope y'all like us as much as we fuck with y'all. Let's get into it.
going to go to the streets of Traverse Town and listen to an arrangement of Hand in Hand by one of my favorite artists, Ro Panuganti. Please enjoy.
You may not know this, but over the years, the musicians of this community have cooked up dozens of arrangements for various fan albums and music videos. Some of them have made it to March Caprice this time, but others, lots of others, didn't. In fact, some of these performances this evening were recorded live only months ago, and now their finalized recordings have been assembled and are ready to be shared with you tonight. It's with great pleasure we have the opportunity to share with you Lazy Afternoons with Eric Ladish and his band. Following this will be 8-Bit Nuke's big band arrangement of Neverland Sky.
so sorry for the crazy framing. Now, these games have been the birthplace of some of the most innovative game styles of their era. So it's no surprise that the artist of our next segment chose to cover music from one of the most unique entries in the series, card deck battle gameplay aside. Here, the twinkling piano of mini-game music combines with the skillful performances of the pianist to finally answer that age-old question: what is the limit of style changes that can be applied to a Kingdom Hearts track? Oh, what the heck? Oh, sorry. That age-old question, what would happen if you gave Aid 1043 free reign to cover Chain of Memories in the funniest way possible? Who wrote this?
Join us as we take a step back in time for a moment. Yoko Shimomura herself has described the battle music as the musical cornerstone of the series in her eyes. When we think of the battles, we remember tracks like The 13th Struggle, Tension Rising, and A Fight to the Death. And while for Kingdom Hearts 2, Darkness of the Unknown represents the final culmination of all of these melodies. After his epic, we'll fly back to Twilight Town to catch up with Hayner and the gang to VRON Media's Lazy Afternoons.
We'll wrap up this evening with 2 final pieces from Twilight Town, because you can't go to Twilight Town without remembering the tragedy of the Sea Salt Trio. And so, Split Screen has for us an arrangement of Vector to the Heavens. And then, wrapping up tonight's program, will be Temeram's battle edit of At Dusk, I Will Think of You. Please enjoy.
What a show! Well, that marks the end of our first part of our concert soiree from March Caprice. Please don't forget to come back next day. Please don't forget to come back tomorrow. Meanwhile, if you like what you've heard tonight and maybe want to hear a little bit more, you could always search up the March Caprice charity album, Double Time, available on every platform, including the ones you don't want to use. We will see you again tomorrow. We will see you again tomorrow, and happy March Caprice.
doesn't mean I have to walk on water. When we are older, you'll understand it's enough when I say so. And maybe some things are that simple. You walk away, you don't hear me say, please. Oh, baby, don't go. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go. You walk away, you don't hear me say, please. But does that mean I have to walk on water? When we are older, you'll understand it's enough when I say so. And maybe some things are that simple.